I just wanted to start about talking about the FA Cup, really, because we don't know, obviously, who Notts are going to be playing just yet. The draws this afternoon, but just wanted to ask where you see the competition in your career, in your life, whether you how much you value the FA Cup, and where you see it for Notts this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive competition. Everybody knows that. I think it's a window of opportunity for us to get a break from the National League and go and try to do something different in a cup competition. So I think that's exciting. Obviously, we want to go as far as we can in every competition. I think it's just good to get a winning mentality back, and the more better performances we can put in, the better. So for me, it's like I would love to be able to progress in that and test ourselves against teams higher up if possible, and maybe get an interesting draw here. I think that's the ambition for every club outside the Football League, as they want that challenge. So I think it's really important for us.
It's interesting that some coaches see it as a distraction, and that's kind of says it with team selection or whatever. And when there's so many games in this division, but can it really be a nice break from things? Can it have a positive mental impact on the squad?
Yeah, I think most. I mean, previously when I've been in cup competitions, we've seen it as just a break from the league and a chance to kind of throw ourselves into something new. So I think you get a lot of new energy when you go into stuff like that. So for me, it's not a distraction. Games are never a distraction. We've got to use them to our advantage, and it's an opportunity to just continue to work on things, but away from the National League and in a different competition.
Following the disappointment of Saturday, what's been the focus over the last few days going into this game? What's been the message?
I think we just had to take a breath after the game and really look at it, and break it down. The first 70 minutes, really, they don't, other than one kind of half chance from a set piece, they don't really lay a glove on us for 70 minutes. And I think we do many things that are good, but the problem is in 8 minutes we come unstuck, and it's the nature of the goals that we concede that's unbelievably frustrating. I didn't feel it was a game that was ever outside of our control until they score, and then we really lose our focus in a big way on, and especially the two set piece goals are unbelievably disappointing. So for us, we've kind of had a focus of, we've got to look at these things. Why do we lose a game that we're so in control of for large parts? And there's reasons behind it, and we've got to dig deep to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Looking at the reasons behind it, I know you would say that you wouldn't be making any excuses, but the fact that you've had so many injuries in key areas, of course, your goalkeeper, you've had to bring in these short-term loans, and the squad's changed somewhat. I mean, that has to have an impact, doesn't it, on performances?
Yeah, but I thought we were very poor against Altrincham away, but I thought in this game we start the game much brighter. I think that players like Aaron that's come in for his first start, I thought he did brilliantly. Really created a lot down that right hand side together with Ruben and Brins. So there were some positive things to take from that. But of course, I think in some of the key defending areas, to lose the centre backs that we've lost plus the goalkeeper, and that's not. I thought Anthony Patterson did brilliant in goal. He couldn't have done anything for the goals. He was calm with the ball at his feet. When he had one big save to make, he made it. But I think it's just about others now. Everybody assuming each other's responsibility as well. Someone has got to step up, take more leadership responsibilities on the pitch, and that's what we're asking, is to have more voices, more organisation, a little bit more killer instinct when we're inside our own box. I think that's going to be important.
I know no head coach ever has a plan for when you're losing games, or in terms of a long stretch of games. And I know this has only been two, and every team has a bad run throughout the season. But how much of your mindset, of your preparation, goes into getting the team through difficult moments like this?
Yeah, I mean, we just have to focus on what we do, which is work extremely hard on the training pitch, be quite honest with ourselves when we look back at the game, and try to improve. I mean, we're gonna have games where we're gonna look great. We've already had them. We've had games in moments where we've scored great goals and looked excellent, but that doesn't mean that we're going to be excellent every game. We've got to keep working hard to be like that. And then we get a game where we're poor. Doesn't mean we're going to be poor every game. It means that we've had, last 20 minutes of this game was extremely poor. But we have to just get some resilience. We have to work as a team hard, and just focus on the process to improve for the next match, and that's important.
Talking about the game tomorrow in terms of the team news, and just spoke briefly there about the selection issues that you've had. Are you expecting any of those players out to be able to be in contention for tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, Cal Roberts comes back from suspension. Carl Cameron trained today, but I need to talk to the physios really. I find it unlikely that he's ready to start. We expect him to be able to be back in the squad and pushing for a start place against Yeovil, but maybe it's just too soon. But we'll see how his reaction was after today's session. Eli is over his sickness, trained today, so he'll be back in the squad. So there's a few back, but Conor Rawlinson's still out, and Carl Cameron's still a maybe, and Sam Slocum's out.
It's going to be a tough game tomorrow, isn't it? Looking at Halifax's form, they've had a fine start to the season. What are you expecting from the game tomorrow?
Maybe a more open game. I think they're certainly at home. I think they're quite attack minded, and therefore I think that they will try and come out and play and attack us a little bit. So I expect there to be a bit more space to operate in. But like you say, they've had a good start to the season. They're up there, and it'll be a difficult task. But this league's so unpredictable. I think we just have to prepare ourselves in the best possible way to try to improve on what we've been doing, and then we give ourselves a great opportunity.
I guess mentioning how unpredictable the league is that some teams who maybe lose a couple on the spin can still consider themselves in good form given everything else that happens around them and all of the games coming thick and fast.
Yeah, I mean, we just try to not focus too many games ahead and just say, look, every game in isolation is possible to go and win it. We just have to prepare in the right way. So we're now preparing to win against Halifax. We'll do our best to do that, and then after that we focus on Yeovil, and then game after game we work like that. And I think what we'll find is, maybe we win 3-4 in a row, and then we might lose 1 or 2. But what we've got to realise is it won't be the end of the world. It's a lot of games to play over a large part of the season, and the quicker you can shake off these losses and go back into the next game positive, attacking it, then the better.
Wish you all the best for tomorrow. Thanks, Ian.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Ian, I hope you're well. I just wanted to obviously go back to Saturday and the goals, and obviously you've had a chance to look at them back.
Yeah.
Has your view of them changed at all?
No, not really. I think what happens for kind of 5 minutes or so before their first goal is I feel like we start to lose a bit of balance in the team. We play a lot longer. We try to get behind them earlier, and then we stop landing on kind of second balls. This whole shape looks a bit stretched. So I think that we start to give them the ball back more than we need to. And at that point, they can put more things onto us. So I think at 1-0, I thought we started the second half well, and I thought we had a couple of chances to put it to bed. We didn't take them, but then we have to stay calm. We have to stay in control of the game. I think it became more stretched than we would want at that point. So I think that led to them gaining a bit of territory on us. So we have to look at why they were getting into our half a little bit. And then when they were there, the first goal comes cross, clearance. The big central midfielder heads the first one, and then it's a scramble in the box and it just bounces out. It's quite a random goal. I think we've got to be a bit more aggressive in the box, but it's not a well-worked goal. It's just headed back into an area, and they fought for it better than we did. And I think that just shook us a bit because we were in so much control. And then the set piece came just after that, and I think we were a little bit... we're not well organised for that set piece. The guys in zone just vacate the zones and they get first contact, and actually I think Anthony Patterson's going to save it, but Brins instinctively goes to head it and lifts it over him. And the last one, the wide free kick, is so disappointing because we make first contact, but again we've not followed into where we should be, and they land on the second ball. So we haven't been carved open by opportunities, which is, from my perspective, really frustrating, because when you play a team that matches you up and outplays you with the ball on the floor, sometimes you can accept that. I think these are really avoidable moments with a little bit more focus, a little bit more aggression in our box and discipline. And that's what we've got to look at, why a game that we have so much control over with the ball, that we get picked apart over a period of 8 minutes. And I think that's where all of us are so disappointed.
Yeah, I was going to say, in those moments, how do you sort of combat that sort of almost like when you're saying Woking are starting to get more territory? What as a coach can you do to sort of ensure that on the pitch the players can see that happening in front of them?
I think we have to look at where we are on the pitch and make sure that we're not. We almost were playing with too much enthusiasm. We were chasing all over. We were making runs all over the place to try and get that second goal. And we could have just been a bit calmer. Just, key players, just put your foot on the ball and keep it a little bit, especially when we pin them back, wear them down a little bit more and take instead of creating a stretched open game, we should have controlled it better. Because what we did was we started to force it a little bit to get that second. Then we were giving them the ball back. And every time they got the ball, it was launched deep into our half. And then we've got to defend those things. And certainly when you start to get tired towards the end of the game, the last thing that you want is them bringing on players that are running with enthusiasm and launching long balls in. That's why I think we should have been much calmer, much more focused to control the game through the latter parts. Certainly at home, certainly when we had so much control in the first period.
It's interesting you talk about communication. Do you think that would help?
Yeah, of course. And what happens is they make a few changes. They brought off Champion, who was a key threat on set pieces, and they start to change their set pieces. And we have to communicate on the pitch and recognise what's happened and adapt a little bit and take responsibility. And that's what we've talked about, is that we can't think of our own role and forget about if my man's gone off, I've got to pick a new man up. And we kind of talked about, look, we need more leaders, more organisation, more drive that home, and especially now, we miss a couple of more senior players from the back line, and we brought in 2 young loan players, and we cannot rely on them to seek the initiative. It's got to come from the other players around them to help them. So I think we've talked with a lot of them, and that they understand that, look, we need to step up now when these situations occur.
I just want to have a word about Lewis Knight. How is he? Has he had another scan on his hamstring, and how is it?
He's gone today. It's not the same injury, but it's the same leg and a slightly different muscle. So it's maybe something that was just compensating through his rehab. But he's gone through every tick box available, and he's been back in full training for a couple of weeks. And look, no problem. Ideally, he wouldn't have been on the bench. Eli would have been on the bench as another attacking option, but Eli was sick just before, and that meant Lewis stepped up. We discussed it and said, look, we know that these are his first minutes back, but 15 to 20 minutes will be ideal for him. It's just a bit unfortunate that in that 15-20 minutes he felt something and had to go back off. So we'll check him, scan him now and see where he's at.
How disappointed are you for him, because he was in great form in pre-season, wasn't he? And then obviously he suffered that really bad injury against Boston United.
Yeah, and he's been in good form, and you saw what Aaron gave us. Aaron gave us for 70 minutes electric pace in that wide area, and something that was causing them a constant threat. It was the first start that Aaron had had this season, and we knew that after 70 minutes he was going to tire and maybe be at risk, so we brought him off, knowing we have a game on Tuesday as well. Lewis came in to hopefully give us the same, because he gives us that direct, that pace. And actually you see in the moment where he injured himself, he beats a player 1v1 and puts a ball in the box. So that's what he gives us. So I'm really disappointed for him. But he's going to have to be resilient and build himself up, and he'll be back, I'm sure.
Just finally on Aaron's performance, I have to ask you, is he the quickest player you've ever worked with?
Ooh, good question. I've worked with some quick players. I would say he's up there for sure. I'd say he was up there. Certainly without the ball. With the ball, like Elanusi, who's at Southampton, I worked with, and Saman Ghoddos at Brentford were unbelievable carriers of the ball at pace. But I think raw speed without the ball, he's certainly up there as one of the quickest, yeah. And you could see that in the counter-attack moments where we just set him off. He was creating chaos, and that gives us another threat. When we're a little bit lower in our block, when we win it, we've got that outlet, and I think that's a great thing to have. So I was pleased with what he did. It's taken him a little while to break in. We've had to build him up a little bit, after he came back from different injuries, and I think he's been training well, and I was happy that he came on and showed what he's all about.
Because it does seem like you've got all the facets, haven't you? You've got the pace of Aaron, you've got the creativity and guile of Callum Roberts, you've got Ruben's obviously got great creativity about him.
Yeah.
Carl Wootton is obviously the amount of hard work he puts into a game, and obviously his finishing skills as well. So you have all got, it seems like a very good melting pot of qualities. Yeah. But it just seems to me like that you need to become a little bit more ruthless in terms of finishing games off. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think we're making, like, I think I said at the fans forum, and somebody gave me this stat, and I don't know if it's still valid now, 2 games on from that, but we were the team with, I think, the most amount of touches in opponent's box, which means we're getting into the final third on many occasions, but if anything, we're probably too many touches in the box, where we can finish the attack more ruthlessly. But we're certainly getting into those areas. But we also got to understand that we signed Aaron in the summer, and he was coming back from an injury. So Aaron hasn't played with Woods very much, who's also not, Aaron's not played with Ruben, with Brins. Some of them are still connecting with each other, and the way that we play, we have so much of the ball, the relationships between the players are massive, and understanding each other's strengths and weaknesses. So I only see us improving from the point that we're at in terms of attacking cohesion, but at times it has been maybe a little bit disjointed, and we could have been more ruthless. But you're right, a lot of the key assets that we need are there. It's now just to get them understanding each other and doing it more frequently.